All right, welcome back to Meet the Truth, the podcast. And today I have my good friend Selina with me. And why don't you just start off? Tell us, who are you and how did you end up being this crazy, only meat eating lunatic?
Okay. Yes, my name's Selena, and I guess it started really keto ultimately before I became full carnivore. I was keto for almost 7 years and closer to animal based, but I didn't quite realize that at the time. I didn't know what animal based was, I didn't know what carnivore was. And I was attempting to heal, my own health issues and everything. I was diagnosed with cancer in 2017 and had to really like dive in and figure out, what's going on. Why is this happening to my body? And um, when I started to really research and discover what exactly happens with our bodies when we eat certain foods, I started really eliminating, the what seems common sense things at first. Like I stopped using a lot of seed oils and I stopped eating processed foods. I absolutely eliminated sugars. And it just sort of became like this snowball effect of, well, what about this? Oh, this isn't really all that great for us. And what about what about this? And what came to really be was I started realizing that a lot of these plant-based foods were, goitrogens, which is what I learned really early on in my journey, which is funny because a lot of people, even carnivore now, still don't even know what that is really. And seeing as I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, I had FTC, and it was like, okay, goitrogen plants prohibit almost all thyroid function. So even if you have a healthy thyroid and everything functions properly, when you eat these goitrogen plants, even for a temporary time being, it stops the production of T3 and T4 and free T3 and free T4s. So it's like if you have a healthy system with your thyroid, like all of your other hormones are kicking in great, it only stops it for a temporary period of time, and then your body will kind of kick back in. Well, for somebody who has, thyroid sensitivities or has a weaker thyroid system, hormonal system in that area, it's like, well, it might take 2 weeks before it kicks back in. It might take 3 months. It might just not. And so I was like, okay, those are out. And when you're on a keto diet and you remove goitrogen plants, it really doesn't leave you with a whole lot of anything else. Like you end up with, chickens and beefs and porks and, any kind of fish, cheese and dairy, and you have berries. Like that's pretty much it. You have very few root vegetables. Um, so it's like I wasn't a big fan of carrots. I already stopped eating potatoes, which would have been non-goitrogen, but they were starch. So it was like there wasn't much I had left. I was pretty much meat and dairy, and I would have blueberries and raspberries from time to time. Um, I did like hyper supplement in the beginning because I was trying to figure out like biohack my cancer story. Like I wanted to figure out how to trigger my body to repair itself. Because the reality is we are biologically designed to heal. We are meant to recover, to repair. We have an entire system in our cells that literally has this little like machine protocol, for lack of better description, to go, oh, hey guys, there's a problem over here. We've got team A, team B, team this. Let's send everybody over here, and we got to get this site fixed so that we can keep working. And it's like, well, if we have damaged cells, if we have damaged systems that are happening within our body, it only makes logical sense to me that that also means we can repair cancer cells. We can repair like certain aspects of our body. And as wild and crazy as it is, it's like, well, there's even people who have partially regrown back like certain limbs. Obviously, they're not going to regrow like an entire arm or something like that. But it's like the cells generate enough, like if they cut off a finger, sometimes it actually lengthens a little bit more than just to the part that it was cut off at. And it's like, well, how does that happen? Well, because the body knows, hey, we need to fix this. And it's like, okay, cancer cells, they're just damaged cells. Well, why are they damaged? What's damaging them? And so I went on to this whole thing, ended up on a kick, and I did repair quite a bit. I did end up reversing my cancer on what I call closer to animal based, because I practically didn't hardly eat much of any plants. I reversed my cancer, and my diagnosis was cleared in 2021. And so that's something else that I want people to hear, is it wasn't instantaneous either. Like, I had to be willing to work and change my lifestyle to be dedicated to do the repairing that my body needed for what I had done to it. It took me how many years to get my body to go into a devastated state? Obviously, it's not going to be 3 months and suddenly I'm cured and healed. And a lot of people, I think, are so scared to take that step because they need it fixed now. And that's I think one of the reasons why we end up leaning so heavily into a Western medical system, because we believe this unconscious thought that it gets fixed right now. You know, you're going to do this, you take this pill, you take this chemo, you take this radiation, you take this, and within a couple months you're fixed and you don't have to do anything except swallow this, drink this, get infused with this. So it's like, it's not a quick fix, but it is the best fix, because I didn't have to degenerate any other aspects of my health in order to heal myself, which is what happens with a lot of Western medicine options. They told me at the time that the only options I had was either radiation or full removal of my thyroid. And it's like, and once you do either one of those, the only option you have is to live on a synthetic medication for the rest of your life. Like, it's not an option, because your body cannot function without those hormones. You'll die. So it's like, okay, if I took radiation, it wouldn't have just affected my thyroid. It would have affected other aspects of my system that would have started to shut down and would have hopefully repaired themselves afterwards. And a lot of people don't realize that. I think when they go into these other medical options, how much it affects other aspects of their body over a long period of time. And it just wasn't an option for me. So when I went keto, I did hypersupplement for a long time in the early beginning years, because I was so deficient in almost everything. I was anemic to the point that my doctor asked how I was walking around. I was so low on the charts. They were like, this isn't even Paul. We don't even know how you're walking, because you shouldn't have even enough energy to move. And I'm like, well, I have to. I was a single mom at the time. It was like, you do what you got to do. Like, there's no option for me not. not to function. I have to. It's not a choice. And that was definitely a gift of how I was raised. Was, my parents' philosophy was there are no limits and nothing is impossible. And thank God I was given that kind of background ideology to be raised on, because even hearing that I was diagnosed with cancer, it was like, okay, there's something I can do. I don't know what it is, but there's something I can do. When I was cleared in 2021, which actually June 9th of 2021, I'm officially, 4 years now? Yay! So when I was cleared then, I still was hyper aware of the fact that the way I'm eating feels amazing. The way I feel is awesome. I mean, I had energy to be able to do things I hadn't been able to do since I was in my late teens, early 20s. I mean, I was 35, 36 years old. This was before I was cleared, but I was already starting to get better. I started learning how to surf. I was outside. I was doing, 8-9 mile kayaking, paddling trips upriver, upstream. I couldn't have done that the years prior because I could barely make dinner for my kid. It was so draining for me. So it was here I went from having to tell my son, which at the time was 7, 8 years old, hey, mom, you want to go for a walk downtown? And it's I can't. Sorry, I can't. You want to play? I can't. Going from that to, God, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a hike. Let's go camping. Let's go do this. That is something you can't put a price on that. And I know that I wouldn't have gotten that even doing the Western medical options that they were giving me, because I would have still had years of recovery afterwards to just become normal into whatever normal was. And for a lot of people at that age in my life, I'm already starting to reach older age. You're already starting to it's okay. Of course, it's expected you're going to be tired. At 35, 36, 37 years old, no, come on. My family history, before a lot of the standard food process started to change, my great-grandmother, I knew 3 of them. I knew them. I played with them. Do you know how many people I look at that are slightly like my husband's age? He's almost 9 years younger than me. They've never met their great-grandparents. Well, it's because they don't naturally live as long as they used to. They were being bombarded by all of this stuff, and that's what made it so crazy in my head of I'm 35, 36 years old, 37 years old, and you're telling me I'm already old. I'm already shutting down, and this is just the way it is. And it's God, that's insane. Either way, just jabbering now. So at 38 years old in 2021, I was cleared of cancer, and I still did have a large tumor growth. I had a 4.3 centimeter tumor on my right lobe. They did a biopsy and they said, cancer cells are undeterminable, but your body is still fighting against this object. But they couldn't determine cancer anymore. Whereas in 2017, it was holy crap, you're in emergency state. We need to go ahead and get you in now. We need to either have surgery now or you need to start radiation next week. And in 2021, I said, everything was working. All of my T3s, T4s, free T3s, free T4s, all of them were in perfect markers, except one thing. and that was my thyroglobulins. Those were still off the charts. And I was like, okay. And I ended up with a new endocrinologist at the time. And I was talking with her, and I was like, I understand the process of what a thyroglobulin is. It's an antibody that your body creates because it's trying to get rid of a foreign object. Well, it was rather obvious. The only foreign object I had was this large growth on my thyroid. And she was like, it's not affecting anything else the way it was 2 years ago. And she said, so your thyroid's now functioning, but unless we get rid of the tumor and for your body to be able to take a break. And God, it took me probably 3 or 4 months to make a decision and really weigh my options on what's going to be the best overall outcome for me, what's okay. And she sat down with me and she said, Selina, she goes, I want you to understand, we can take out half of your thyroid, and you are fully capable of functioning 100% on one lobe. She said, it's completely possible. You don't have to, but she said, I feel like it would give your body the break it needs to be able to just take that next step forward. Because although I felt great and I felt amazing, there were still like waves, right? Where I would just sometimes be like, I'm too tired today, guys. Just give me a rest day and I'll be back at it. And I would, like, it would only take like a day or so. And then I would be, okay, come on, let's go. And I was like, okay, this seems like the best option. And I told her, I said, so I don't have to go on medication if I do this. And she said, no, as long as you have at least half of your thyroid lobe, your other lobe, she said, if you take care of yourself the way you're doing now, she said, you'll never have to be on medication. I was like, okay, all right, let's do this. Like, because I'm ready to be tip top 100%. Like, I don't want to have crazy rest days because, we did some, camping trip or whatever, right? Not that you still don't need rest days, you do. But I went in for surgery on June 9th of 2021. And I came out, and 6 weeks later, I ended up pregnant with my youngest son, which is funny because prior to that, they were telling me that I was never going to be able to have children again. So at 38 years old, surprise, second greatest gift of my life came. And of course, my doctor was like, you have got to be kidding me. I was like, no, I'm not kidding. I was like, sorry. She goes, there's no way that your body came back that quickly to be able to now just be fertile, like within 6 weeks. And I was like, well, call it a miracle, but it won't be my first one. like this is, how we're supposed to be. Our bodies are supposed to be able to heal when you give it what it needs. And it's like biologically, we only end up in discord with our system because we ourselves are bombarding it. We're attacking ourselves with all of this stuff that we're ingesting and all of this processed garbage that we eat. And it's like, sadly, we have this experience in growing up now in the time frame that we're in, that these things are normal, that they're food. And it's like, they're not food. They're not even real. It's like, how is it that this is such an illogical concept for people to grasp, that these man-made foods are not even real? Like, they're not food. They are a synthetic process or manufacturing of something. And to get as far for people to understand that even the carrot you eat isn't real. I mean, yes, it's a new type of plant that we've created, but it's like, it didn't exist in the wild the way we experience it. We made it. We created it. And not that creating things is a horrendous thing that we do as humans. It's one of the beautiful gifts that we have with these magnificent brains that we are gifted. But that doesn't mean we're supposed to eat it. Like, it doesn't mean that our body's designed to process it. I mean, cool, let's look at it. They're pretty. What colors? Oh, amazing. Like, that's great. Stick them in a vase. I don't know. But we're not meant to eat it. And that part is what's so wild to me, that it's like, it's not a crazy thing. And it's not outlandish to understand and believe that, oh, if we eat what's biologically designed for us, our bodies can actually do the functions that they are meant to do, which is heal themselves of anything, whatever they have. And so I ended up 2021, I was still following like a keto animal based. And that's not to say I didn't do standard food things from time to time. If I went to a wedding or a birthday party, I mean, I ate what everybody else ate. So it wasn't like I was like this hyper vigilant, like exclusive, like nothing else can ever. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't a purist about it in that sense. Like I wasn't, I don't know, like I allowed myself indulgences during that time period, just not regularly, not daily, not on the thing, but I still wasn't optimal. Like I would still experience like my hands would hurt so bad all the time still. And I'd be like, God, and at that point you do start to go, God, is this because I'm just getting older, even though I'm 38, 39, like, God, is this really just part of it, that I get out of bed and I'm like, hold on, let me try to stand up for a minute before I get going. And I had overheard, my husband was watching, everybody knows this podcast with Joe Rogan and Sean Baker. And he was watching it, and I wasn't in the room with him, but I had overheard it as I was like walking by and like picking up laundry and toys and stuff. And I don't remember exactly which part of it that I stopped at, but I remember thinking when I heard it, I went, that's it. Like that's the key. Like that's the step. And I didn't even know who was talking on the podcast. So I didn't know who Sean Baker was. I wasn't like, I just heard some guy like, in the background, and I would just hear little blurps from here and there. And about, I would say that evening, I'm a very hyper researcher personality, and with everything in the world. If someone brings up a concept or an idea or talks about a cultural thing that I've not heard of, I'm like, oh, how did that start? Where did that come from? Like what, and why do they do this? And they believe this about it. Like, I love knowledge and data. And I mean, why else do we have brains like this, right? And so I started that night going, and I still didn't know carnivore because I didn't hear that part. I just heard him talking about it, and I only eat meat, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so what happens when you only eat meat? What is it with meat that's just bioavailable? Is there anything that gets stripped away from us when we eat meat? Because I had already learned rather in-depthly about when I eat certain plants or when I eat certain vegetables, that they actually either stop us from a function that we need, or they strip away from us certain minerals or vitamins or something that we need. So I was already like very conscious that early on, which I wasn't eating much of that anymore anyways, but early on when I first started this, like if I ate spinach, it was like, okay, I know I need to take extra calcium today because the spinach is going to start trying to strip the calcium from any aspect it can pull from my body. So it was like, why would I keep doing this circus cycle of, oh, if I ate this, I need to supplement that. Oh, if I ate that, I need to supplement this. And I better add this in order to help it absorb this better. And it was like, there wasn't that with meats or fats, like at all. And it was like this light bulb of, holy crap, I don't have to try to chase something. I can eat this and it's sovereign in my body. My body already accepts it, knows what to do with it, and nothing else gets deprived in my system. What? Like, I don't have to like try to fix something else because of eating it. It was such a no-brainer to me. Like, oh, cool. This makes sense. I didn't jump on quite like that night. It took me about 3 weeks of really like diving in, because I want to know that I know that I know. Because when you shift things with your body, it's like, that's a big deal, right? Especially for somebody like me who it's like, okay, I've just beat cancer. I don't want to send myself back into a negative state. So I was like, I have to know that I know that I know that this is going to be good. And I'm not doing something half-assed, like that I know how to step into this. I know how, like, anything I need to do. And it was about 2 or 3 weeks. And I was kind of like slowly talking to my husband, like, and you know this, and did you know that? And gosh, can you believe this? And I'm like, I don't know. I think this might be something that is like the thing. And my husband, who's funny, because he is not like, he's never really jumped on any of the keto stuff with me. Like, he would do it if I made it for dinner, of course, like happily. But he didn't eat that way when he went out to work. Like, he would eat whatever he wanted. And he was always a very lean guy. So, of course, for me, weight was always kind of a big push, too, because before I was diagnosed with cancer, I gained over 70 pounds in like a year. And so I went from being, I've always been a curvaceous person, but I was a lean person, like not overweight. I wasn't obese. I was always crazy strong. And I mean, not to like toot my own horn, but back in the day, I mean, I had something to look at. It was like, you know, like, hey, I got it going on. And to go from that to like, holy shit, what has happened, right? So weight was always a big part of my, I need to kind of get this down. I need to fix this. I need to whatever. So for him, he was like, I don't need a diet because I don't need to lose weight. Like, I don't, like, nothing's wrong with me, right? But I was telling him this way of eating, I was like, I think it's just beneficial for everyone. Like, it's like, not just because I have things to fix. Like, I think it's for everyone. And he was like, and I was like, you know, I can't do this one on my own. I was like, because I'm the only one that cooks in my house. The only one. There's me, my husband, my now almost 18-year-old son, but he wasn't 18 at the time. Almost 18-year-old son, and our now 3-year-old, which this was almost a year ago now. And I was like, so I really need you to be on board with me. Come on, like, you know, you want to do this too. Like just do the 90 days. I was like, everything I'm reading is just commit to 90 days. And I was like, if we don't see any benefit in 90 days, fine, do what you want. Like, I don't care. But what if, right? Like, what if we do see it? What if something really awesome comes out of this? And he was like, I don't know. And I was twiddling my thumbs like, okay, can I do this on my own, and I'm just going to completely do my own meal prep again, and I'm going to completely like all separate. Such a pain in the butt, but I can do it if I have to. And finally, it was mid-October, and I looked at him. I said, "Look, you're having some skin issues. I could really jump on this one. Just let's just try it, please." And he said, "Fine, fine. 90 days." And I was like, "Yeah, 90 days. Just give me 90 days." And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "If we're doing 90 days, we are doing it 90 days, like all in, like strict." And I'm like, "You got it, like all in, strict." So we were extremely strict carnivore for our first 90 days. We had meat, salt, water, fats. That was it. Like nothing else. We didn't do coffees. We didn't do any kind of like extra cheeses. Like it was hardcore. And it was probably about 60 days in for him that he was like, okay. He went through hell the first 2 weeks. I didn't. I was like about 5 days in, I was like, this is amazing. I was like elated with just like, the world is wonderful. Right? It was hilarious. Him, on the other hand, he's on the couch and he's like, I think I'm dying. And I was like, oh no, like, so I had to start doing even more research on like, okay, why is he going through these experiences and what is happening? Why does his head hurt so bad? Why does like, he was going through an insane detox, and it dawned on me about 2 weeks in, you've never detoxed. Like he had never eliminated anything out of his system before. Whereas I, on the other hand, not all the greatest things in the world, but I mean, I've done like, what are they? I've done detox fasts. I've done like all of these different things. And I had already been primarily animal based for years. For years. And here he was like still going to, the gas station during the day and getting like one of those like sweet cake pastry things and stuff. And I'm like, no wonder you feel like shit. Like your body's like expelling all this crap. So it took him 2 weeks before he was like, oh, okay, I see where this could be good, because the first 2 weeks were hell for him. But by the time we hit 90 days, I remember like I looked and I was like, all right, it's 90 days. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going back. And I was like, yeah, me neither. Me neither. I said, I could see where we might have times where we might allow ourselves to do whatever if we choose. Because I didn't want to like psychologically create a deprivation in my head. Not to go jump back, but I wanted to set up the foundation of I'm allowed to do what I want and I'm choosing to do this. Like that is something I think a lot of people struggle with, is the psychosis of, oh, I'm now going to be deprived of everything that I ever want and I can never ever do anything again. And it's like, no, you can if you want to. You just have to know what choice you're making. And if you choose that choice, be consciously aware that you're choosing that choice. But it's like, oh, my husband and I laugh now because he goes to work at his office and they bring in donuts all the time. And when he first started working there, he's like, I would have 2 or 3 donuts a day. Like I couldn't help myself. And now his coworkers like come in there like, you really don't want one? He's like, no, like I don't want anything to do with that. That's not food, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, and he goes, it's funny because you can't explain that to people, what it's like to not want it anymore. Like it, and it's not like oh, I don't want this because I've built up this like, this discipline. And it's like, well, yeah, there's that to a degree in the beginning. But then it actually turns into, no, the thought of eating that is actually disgusting. Like it does not settle with me. In fact, it's funny, that post that Ev made yesterday, I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. It made my stomach nauseous to watch it because of the big pile of like sugar and chocolate and all of this stuff. Whereas like 2 years ago, even on a keto diet, like even on a mostly animal-based diet, I craved that stuff. I was addicted to sugar at such a level that, like, I mean, had it been any other substance, I would have been in rehab several times. Like, if it wasn't a socially accepted substance to be addicted to, it's like people would have had me in, because I mean, I would go, and this is the level of like, holy crap, what freedom being carnivore gives you. Because I was such an addict that I would withstand and I would not eat this stuff. And then I would go and have something, like, I don't know, I would stop at the gas station and get a bag of chips and be like, it's just one bag of chips. It's fine. Like, it's okay. It's all right. And that would turn into like 4 days of me going to the store every day to get not just one, maybe I'll get 2 bags today. Maybe I'll get that bag of chips and I'll go ahead and get that bag of Sour Patch Kids. It's fine. It's not going to be forever. To my husband would be like, did you have any sugar today? And I'd be like, well, just a little bit. And yet I had 2 bags stored next to my bed. Like, that's addiction. That's substance abuse. Like, people choose to ignore that about sugars, but that is the reality. It is an addiction. It is an abuse to our bodies. It is a substance that triggers our brain in such a way that you do stupid shit like hide candy under your bed. Like, and I never hid candy under my bed, but I know people that, like, they have little like tins or boxes or whatever of cookies or candy or, you know, anything that they have hidden around the house so that they can go get their quick fix. And it's like, to not want it, to not like sit there and be thinking about, when's the next time I'm going to be able to do this? How good have I been for how long that I can allow myself to have this? Like, I don't experience that. I don't experience that psychological, like, nagging is the best way I can describe it. And people don't understand. And I tell them all the time, like, I can't explain to you how this feels because there's no way for you to understand how it feels until you know how it feels. Like, there's just no way, because I couldn't. Nobody could have told me at any point in time that I would have ever possibly been able to not want to go eat something that I shouldn't. But I do now. Like, I have that freedom 100% now. And I've tried it out 100 billion different chances of whether I've seen, if I'm like, we go to certain places or we go to like old places that I used to be like, oh my gosh, if we go here, I have to get whatever that dish is, right? And we've gone and I'm like, no, I still don't want it. Like, I still don't have to have it. And I'm okay that we're here to enjoy something else that I can have that is better for me. So it's like, it's not like I've had some people go, well, it's because you just don't go to these places anymore. You just don't put yourself in that environment. And I'm like, no, I do it all the time now. Like, I literally do it almost daily now. I walk into a gas station when I go get gas and I, do all these different things. And I'm like, I'm literally bombarded with what would have been at the time me having to practice abstinence from these items. Whereas now I walk in and I'm like, I'm good. I'm cool. Like, I don't actually want it because holy crap, that is so disgusting that I even used to think that that was okay to eat. but, but you don't know until you know. And that's something I wish people could hear through the food noise. I wish they could hear that part of there is a freedom on the other side. Like, you can get there and it totally exists, and it is a real place inside of yourself. Like, I don't know. I've done a lot of talking.
It's great. Yeah, and totally. It's what a lot of us experience, right? When we go to this carnivore diet, that, you know what, this is, people think it's restrictive and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But seriously, until you've experienced it, you don't know the sort of food freedom that comes from this, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
amazing. It's like, for example, my birthday was last week. I made a
Happy
post about
birthday.
this, right? Thank you. And I made this post about it, and like, it talked about, oh, what did I actually eat for my birthday then? And the
Yeah.
answer to it is I wasn't hungry that day, so I didn't eat anything.
Which
I
is like
actually, yeah,
amazing.
I just fasted through my birthday because, I mean, I'm not just gonna go eat for the sake of eating. I wasn't hungry,
Right.
so I
Exactly.
mean, I guess it's a good gift to myself, giving myself some fasting and autophagy instead, right?
Right? Exactly. What did you give
But
to yourself? Brain power?
yeah, exactly. Right. But yeah, wow, your healing story is just absolutely incredible, and
Thank
so
you.
inspirational. And yeah, I just wanted to hear more. Can you tell us more about, so when you went carnivore finally, then how were the first weeks? What were the first signs of, oh, this is working?
For me, the first signs, honestly, were my joints. Within, like, I would say for me, it was about 4 to 5 days ish, approximately. I wake up. So I have ED, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I think I said that right. Either way, I'm very hypermobile. Everything in me is very flexible. Everything moves. And with that, though, that usually leaves more space for fluid to be able to be built up. And I lived for years where every morning I'd wake up and I literally would have to like force myself to like start to move my hands because they would be so stiff and swollen from, well, inflammation, obviously. And throughout the day, it's like they would just kind of ache, but I would get used to it. But every morning, like when I first woke up, almost every joint in my body would just, it was just like achy. And it was like, okay, I've got to get moving. I've got to get moving. I've got to just like rearrange all this stuff. And then I could get mobile, but I wasn't pain free. I was just mobile. Like, it was hard to explain, but about 3 to 4 days in, I remember like waking up one morning and I hopped right out of bed and I'm like walking to the kitchen and I'm about 2/3 of the way to the kitchen where it dawns on me. I'm like, oh, holy crap. Like, I didn't have to like go through this routine of like trying to move every part of my body to get moving. And I was like, I literally just got out of bed and just started walking off. Like, I haven't done that in years, years. And I kind of was like maybe that's just a fluke, because you want to just go, like, there's no way that I have lived with this kind of pain for years and it could just be gone. Like, something, I must have, I don't know what, but I must have done something. Maybe I slept the best I've ever slept. Maybe I, like, all of these things. And then I started paying attention that no, I'm waking up that way every morning. And I have two collapsed vertebrae in my lower lumbar vertebrae, and my L3 and L4 are completely compressed. And that's from years and years of, I did ballet for 18 years, and every time you fall on the floor, basically, I slowly deteriorated my spine at a very young age. And I was supposed to have back surgery when I was 23, and I refused. Because why? Because that's just what I do. I refuse. You tell me I need to do this, I'm going to tell you no. So I have this hyper rebellious thing. I don't know what it is, but that was something that it was like about, I would say about 6 or 7 days in, when after I started paying attention to the fact that I was getting up and just getting out of bed, like without all of this, like, let me slowly roll off the bed to stand up and get myself like readjusted. And about the 6th or 7th day, I remember I got up and it was like, okay, my back doesn't hurt now. Like it's not just my hands and my knees. My back's not hurting. I've lived with back pain since I was like 17 years old. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is a joke. Like, there's no way. There's no way. That part, I think, was the hardest for me to accept psychologically. Not so much that it was possible for that to go away, but the like, you mean to tell me I've lived this way in pain for this many years and I didn't have to? Like, what? Like, that is such an astonishing concept to go, we end up in pain for so long. And I say we because I know that there are like hundreds of thousands of people out there that think that that's just normal, or they almost forget how much pain they're in because it becomes the new normal. And I'm here to say I'm 41 years old now, and it's not normal to be in that kind of pain all the time. Like it's not. It's not. And that in itself for me was like, if I don't have to be in this kind of pain, like why would I go back? Like why? I mean, what kind of insanity is that? Now I've tested the insanity. I have maybe had like non-carnivore foods like 3 times now since being carnivore, like full carnivore, and I pay for it. I have paid for it. I have paid for it. The next morning I wake up, so I know for a fact that this is what is causing me not to be in pain, because like for my birthday this last year, I went and I got a little pastry that I used to get like all the time when we went down to this special farmers market. And I'm not going to lie to you, I enjoyed every bit of that little pastry. I did. It was tasty. The next day, though, every bit of my hands hurt. My hand, like I could barely move them. Like it was like they were so swollen. My back was in pain. I was having to like, but when I'd get out of the chair, it was like, okay, all right. Like I had to kind of brace myself and going, because of a pastry? Like, are you kidding? This is not because it's like good for us. It's not, it's not like, it's not, I don't even know what the word is for it. Like the fact that we eat these things, it's like they're not meant for us. They're just not meant for us. Because if they were, they wouldn't cause us this kind of like insanity inside of our bodies. We wouldn't have this kind of pain if this was something we were designed to eat. And, you know, like I say all the time, I'm not a purist. So it's not like I'm going to sit here and go, oh, I'm never going to have a pastry again the rest of my life ever. I probably will. But that's the, what is it? FAFO.
Yes.
I'm like, all right, well, if I choose to do that, at least I know that I will consciously be making that choice if I choose to do so. On a daily basis, though, like, holy cow, I could never see myself doing that again. And my husband either. So that was kind of like the first signs where I was like, I don't have to live in pain. This is awesome. And this is better than anything else I've done so far. The next thing after that is, I would say it was probably about 4 weeks in after that. I already think very like quickly in the sense of like comprehension. I've always been able to like understand people, understand thought, like philosophies, understand theories. Like I can hyper deduce things very quickly. But when I have this clarity in my body of just none of the processed BS, it is phenomenal what you feel mentally. Like, I cannot like express enough the immense, amazing, just like euphoric isn't the word, but just this, it's like this clarity, this clearness of thought. And as weird as this might seem to some people, the ability for that clarity to touch you at a spiritual level. Like, I don't, and I'm not talking about religion or anything like that. You can put it in that pathway if you want to. It all depends on your belief system. But like this connection to source, this connection to God, this connection to earth, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to put a label on, is so sharp and fierce and just like it's a bond experience that you have between your mind and your body and your spirit. Like, you cannot experience that to the depth when you're filling your body with crap. Like, it's just not possible. And when you understand from a cellular level what happens and like the frequency of how our cells respond to frequency, to energy, and I'm not even talking metaphysical, but I am, like, you realize that when you bombard it with damaging particles, when you bombard it with a frequency that is not in alignment with how your cells need to function, they're too weighted down, if you want to put it that way, to be able to elevate. It's like, it's not possible because they are too busy trying to carry all this crap, right? That they're not allowed to vibrate at a frequency that is elation, at a frequency that is clarity, because they're busy, being held down by garbage, if you want to look at it that way. That is something that is like, unless you know, you don't know. And how to tell people that the way I experience nature now is, it's beautiful. The way I interact when I go outside and I have my feet on the ground and I'm sitting in the energy of what is Mother Nature, of what is the ultimate energetic source of our existence. And you can feel it, and you can experience it, and you can actually like almost hear it. You can't get that if you're on a standard diet. You can't experience that. And I don't, Like, I wish for people, because it sounds so woo woo bullshit. I understand that and I get that. But I'm like, man, until you hear it, until you see it, until you feel it, you just don't know. Like, you can't.
Yeah, totally. Like if you told me that about 2 years ago, I would have thought you were
Crazy.
absolutely
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
it would have made
Exactly.
no sense.
Mm-mm.
But
No.
now I am when you're talking about this, I totally know what you mean. But
Yeah.
it's so hard to explain, and like you
With,
say,
yeah,
you're not gonna be able to understand it unless you've experienced it yourself, right?
exactly. Exactly. And it's like, I get that that's like a controversial subject for a lot of people to talk about, because they think it might interfere with their religious belief system or whatever. And I go, the sad part is, it's like, you don't know how close you can get to whatever, your God, spirit, source, like whatever it is that you want to call that. Like, you just don't know how close you can get. And that part that part for me was like, I am all in, babe. Like, I am all in. I don't know how else to explain this. Like, it's life altering, body altering, mind altering. And to think, like, this is how we are supposed to exist. This is how we are supposed to exchange with each other, with the earth, with everything, like, because we are supposed to be symbiotic with our environment. And you can't be symbiotic with an environment if you are constantly attempting to function from a synthetic experience with your food, with everything. It's like, that's what you're doing, is you're ingesting synthetic material that is not symbiotic with our biology. And biology in itself is natural. So it's like, why would we keep trying to bombard it with crap? But we do. But we do. And we think it's okay. And we, as a society, we feed our kids crap, and then they believe it's okay. And they think that's what's normal. Normal. And you go, you know, what's crazy is what we believe as society is normal now has only been in existence in like a second of existence's experience. A second. It's like a little micro blip of time compared to what has been for a millennia. And you're telling me that this is right? You mean Earth has had it wrong this whole time? Like, really, guys? Like, I think, I think we kind of need to take a look at our history and kind of go, wait a minute, this hasn't been happening. We haven't been eating like this. We haven't been farming like this. We haven't been doing this process. It's like, it's not even a second in Earth time, like, of its existence. It's not even a second. And you think this is the end all be all. We are so crazy. Because of society. Like, I don't know. It's a whole other subject.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something for people to think about, right? And
Hmm.
I think yeah, it's just beautifully said, what all you said just now. Um, and yeah, you've kind of already expressed, right, that you see yourself doing this for life, right?
Mm. Oh
You're
yeah,
gonna keep doing this.
for life.
And yeah, I just wanted to hear, could you tell us more about, or just what am I trying to say? If you had the chance to go back and tell Selina before this whole cancer diagnosis, if you had the chance to go back to Selina
Yeah.
at that point and tell her something, what would that be?
To trust yourself. I would tell her that she needed to listen to herself and that she wasn't as dumb as she thought she was. And the reason being because I put myself as a less than person for years and years and years. That there's no way that little old me knows better. There's no way that I understand this research better. And I would tell myself to trust yourself sooner because you are the only advocate for yourself. And we as people we often give up our own knowing for acceptance. And that would be what I would tell her. Trust yourself because you know more than you think you do. I wish I
That's
would have.
amazing.
Thanks.
I love that. Yeah, that's so great. That really hit a spot in me, at least. It did. And I actually think, we've been talking for quite a while. It's been great. And I think this is just a perfect spot to just leave it off,
Yeah,
actually.
I think
What do
that's
you
good
think?
too. I think
Yeah.
that's great.
And yeah, I guess let people know where can they get a hold of you and find you.
Definitely. I'm on Instagram at Primal Fox Health. That is my primary. You might find me on other platforms, but Instagram is where you'll actually catch me active and interactive, if you will. So yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on here and
of course,
finally talking one on one with you. Thanks for coming
absolutely,
on.
of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye bye.